We hear the word reconciliation all the time, but what does it actually look like when a big company gets involved? Today, we're going to look past the land acknowledgements and dig into the real world actions of two Canadian giants, TELUS and BMO. We'll explore how they're trying to turn promises into actual, tangible progress. So let's dive in. I think this is the perfect place to start, with this perspective from Ojibwe artist Kenneth Latander. He talks about connection, stories, and community. It's such a powerful reminder that reconciliation at its heart isn't really about corporate policy, it's about relationships. This idea is going to be our guide as we explore what these companies are up to. Okay, so if we take that idea, that it's all about connection, what does that actually mean for a massive corporation? How do you turn that spirit into something real, something you can see and feel? We're going to break it all down by looking at three key pillars. All right, first up, economic partnership. This is all about building shared prosperity. Think investment, infrastructure, and supporting entrepreneurs. Just look at the speed on this timeline. It's incredible. After a devastating wildfire, the Squalox Te Secwepemc First Nation, with backing from partners like BMO, rebuilt homes in record time. And the key here, the really big takeaway, Indigenous leadership. Because the community controlled the whole process and used local expertise, they got people back into their homes faster than any conventional model ever could. It's just a powerful case for empowering local control. And that same idea applies at the individual level too. When TELUS partnered with the Niskaha Lissam's government to build wireless towers, it wasn't just another construction project. They actually trained a community member, Dylan Grandison, to maintain those towers. So a one-time investment turned into a long-term, skilled career for him right in his home community. And just to get a sense of the scale we're talking about, look at this number, $16.4 billion. That's the value of Indigenous banking services BMO has provided to support economic self-determination. I mean, that's a huge financial commitment that fuels everything from on-reserve housing to major infrastructure projects. And that commitment, it's not just one thing. It's a whole spectrum of support. It ranges from these massive infrastructure projects, like TELUS connecting entire communities to pure fiber internet, all the way down to targeted support for individual entrepreneurs and mentorship programs for business owners. It's an approach that creates economic opportunity at pretty much every level. Okay, so our second pillar is cultural integrity. This moves beyond just the economics and looks at how companies engage respectfully with Indigenous art, data, and stories. I love this slide because it gets right to the heart of the matter. On the left, you've got the performative stuff. On the right, you have authentic partnership. It's the difference between using someone's art and making sure the artist keeps all their rights. It's the difference between a generic statement and actually consulting language keepers. And this is a big one. It's about upholding Indigenous data sovereignty, not just assuming you own the data. Let's just pause on that last point for a second because it is so, so important. This is OCAP. It stands for ownership, control, access, and possession. It's a set of principles asserting that First Nations have complete control over their own data. For way too long, data was basically extracted from communities without their consent or benefit. So now, organizations like the First Nations Information Governance Center, which TELUS supports, are championing this principle, making sure communities are the stewards of their own information, just like they're stewards of their lands. And check this out. Here's a really cool example of what that cultural amplification looks like in the real world. TELUS collaborated with Indigenous artists to basically turn their service vans into mobile art galleries. So now, the art and stories of artists like Johnny Ketlow III and Tracy Metallic are traveling through communities every single day, turning company vehicles into platforms for Indigenous expression. All right, that brings us to our third and final pillar, people and community. This is all about investing in well-being, whether that's through careers, health initiatives, or community-led solutions. So, how's this for an innovative career path? Sean Frame, a BMO employee with Algonquin and Blackfoot roots, is a huge gamer. So BMO created a totally unique role for him as a gaming relations specialist. He literally connects with the gaming community on Twitch to promote financial literacy. I mean, what a perfect example of leveraging someone's passion to meet the community where they actually are. What's really key here is the model of the partnership. The Moose Hide campaign is this powerful, grassroots, Indigenous-led movement. See, TELUS's role isn't to come in and lead the charge. It's to amplify. By using their national reach to distribute pins and get employees involved, they act as an ally, helping a community-driven cause spark literally millions of conversations. And if you ever wonder if this kind of targeted support actually works, well, the data speaks for itself. The retention rate for Indigenous employees in BMO's Mikana program is over 92%. That is 2.76 times higher than for those who aren't in the program. This is just hard data that proves these dedicated, culturally informed career pathways get real results. Okay, so we've looked at these three pillars. Where does all of this lead? Let's look to the future of it, at the goal of creating a real, lasting, generational impact. I think this quote from Carol Ann Hilton, who sits on both the BMO and TELUS Indigenous Advisory Councils, really says it all. The end goal here is Indigenous-led economic change. See, the whole point isn't about dependency. It's about empowerment. Indigenous businesses are becoming these powerful engines for closing economic gaps. And in doing that, they're fundamentally renewing the relationship between all peoples in Canada. And that really brings us to the final question we should all be thinking about. We've seen a clear shift from just symbolic gestures to concrete action. But as we look ahead, the real question is, what's going to define a true partnership for the next generation? The answer to that is going to shape the entire future of reconciliation in Canada. Thanks for joining me for this.